You found your way to Whispers of Crimes, a quiet corner where the shadows of the past are gently told. Here, we speak of real crimes and mysteries, not to shock or scare, but to wonder, to reflect, and maybe to help you fall asleep. So close your eyes, let your thoughts slow down, and come with me into tonight's case. He was the eldest son of a dictator once destined to rule the most secretive nation on earth. But instead of power, Kim Jong-nam lived in exile until one ordinary morning at a Malaysian airport, two women walked up to him, and within minutes, he was dead. The ex-nerve agent, a public assassination, and the fingerprints of a regime that silences its own. This isn't just a murder. It's a message from Pyongyang. Chapter 1. The fallen heir Kim Jong-nam was born into unimaginable privilege. As the eldest son of Kim Jong-il, he was presumed to be the future leader of North Korea. His mother, Sung Hai-rim, was a prominent actress, but their relationship remained largely secret due to her lower status and the tightly controlled North Korean class system. Despite this, Kim Jong-il favored his eldest son, and Jong-nam was groomed from a young age for leadership. He was educated at elite schools in Russia and later in Switzerland under false names, where he developed fluent language skills and a taste for Western culture. Unlike many North Korean elites, Kim Jong-nam was exposed to the outside world and seemed to embrace parts of it. He reportedly supported economic reforms and spoke favorably of China's model of development. His liberal tendencies and interest in modernization, however, clashed with the hardline ideology of his father's regime. The turning point came in 2001, when Jong-nam was caught attempting to enter Japan with a fake Dominican passport, allegedly to visit Tokyo Disneyland. The international embarrassment this caused was significant, and soon after, Jong-nam vanished from the public eye. He was quietly exiled, and by 2003, Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-il's youngest son, born to a different mother, began to emerge as the likely successor. Jong-nam remained under the radar, living mostly in Macau, under Chinese protection. Despite his sidelining, he occasionally gave interviews and sent messages that criticized North Korea's leadership, though always cautiously. Still, his very existence represented a potential challenge to the legitimacy of Kim Jong-un's claim to power. And for a regime that tolerates no rivals, even symbolic ones, that was an intolerable risk. Chapter 2. A regime that kills its own Kim. Jong-un officially rose to power after his father's death in December 2011. His leadership was initially marked by a series of internal purges aimed at consolidating his authority. Among the most shocking was the execution of his own uncle, Jang Song-fek, in 2013. Jang was once considered a powerful regent figure and the second most influential person in North Korea. He was dragged out of a meeting, tried for treason, and executed. According to some reports, the execution was gruesome and served as a message to the elite. No one was untouchable. This pattern of elimination extended beyond North Korea's borders. Several South Korean intelligence reports revealed that North Korean defectors, diplomats, and even government officials had been targeted or assassinated overseas. Kim Jong-nam, although not politically active, was undoubtedly a target. South Korean officials confirmed at least 2 failed attempts on his life prior to 2017. In one instance, a North Korean agent attempted to ambush him in China using a poison syringe. Another plot was foiled by Chinese authorities. Jong-nam's movements were monitored closely by both friendly and hostile intelligence agencies. He lived under constant threat, using multiple aliases and passports to travel. Yet he seemed to believe that China's unofficial protection would be enough to keep him safe. His presence in Malaysia, a country with relatively lax airport security and friendly diplomatic ties to North Korea, would prove to be a fatal miscalculation. Chapter 3: The Assassination at Kuala Lumpur Airport. On February 13, 2017, Kim Jong-nam arrived at Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia, intending to board a flight back to Macau. It was supposed to be a routine trip, like many before. But unknown to him, North Korean intelligence agents had already tracked his itinerary and were preparing for a final strike. As Jong-nam waited at the self-checking kiosk around 9 a.m., two young women approached him. The first was Siti Aisyah, an Indonesian national. She crept up from behind and quickly rubbed her hands over his face, distracting him. Mere seconds later, Don Thi Huong, a Vietnamese woman, followed up by smearing cloth across his face. The women walked away casually, appearing to laugh and joke as they disappeared into the crowd. Jong-nam immediately sought help, telling airport staff that someone had wiped a liquid on his face and that his eyes were burning. He was escorted to the airport clinic, but his condition rapidly deteriorated. Within 15 minutes, he was unconscious. He suffered seizures, labored breathing, and cardiac arrest. He was pronounced dead by the time he reached the hospital. Autopsy results later revealed he had been killed with VX nerve agent, a weapon of mass destruction outlawed under international conventions. Even a few milligrams can cause death in minutes. Its use in a public airport was unprecedented. Malaysian authorities were initially baffled. Why would a nation-state use a banned chemical weapon in such a reckless and public manner? Chapter 4: The Women and the Masterminds. The two women involved in the attack were swiftly arrested. Siti Aisyah was apprehended the day after the assassination, and Don Thi Huong was taken into custody shortly after. The evidence against them seemed overwhelming. Surveillance footage captured their movements, and both had traces of VX components on their clothing. But their story was more complicated than it appeared. Both women claimed they had been duped. They believed they were participating in a series of prank videos for a YouTube-style comedy channel. They had been recruited weeks earlier by men posing as talent scoutsmen, later identified as North Korean agents. The women said they had practiced the prank numerous times on random strangers in shopping malls and airports, using baby oil or water. They were paid small amounts of money each time. Investigators discovered that the men who directed the attack, known to the women as James, Mr. Y, and Hanamori, were in fact operatives of North Korea's Reconnaissance General Bureau. These agents fled Malaysia on the day of the assassination, boarding flights out of the country before any arrests were made. One man, Ri Jong-kol, a North Korean national living in Malaysia, was briefly detained but ultimately released due to lack of evidence. He was deported. The plan was chillingly sophisticated. VX is typically too dangerous to handle directly, but North Korean agents had separated its components, giving each woman a harmless substance. Only when applied together did the chemical become lethal. The women, likely unaware of the true nature of their roles, became unwitting assassins in a state-sponsored murder. Chapter 5: International Outrage and Diplomatic Crisis. The brazen nature of Kim Jong-nam's assassination sent shockwaves through the international community. For Malaysia, the incident was an embarrassment and a threat to its sovereignty. The Malaysian government demanded full cooperation from North Korea, but Pyongyang responded with defiance. It denied that the victim was Kim Jong-nam and insisted the cause of death was a heart attack. When Malaysian authorities refused to hand over the body, North Korea retaliated by preventing 9 Malaysian diplomats and their families from leaving Pyongyang, effectively holding them hostage. Diplomatic ties between the two countries broke down completely. Malaysia expelled the North Korean ambassador and barred North Korean citizens from leaving its territory. The standoff lasted for several weeks and required intense negotiations to resolve. In March 2017, the crisis ended with a discreet agreement. The 9 Malaysians were allowed to leave North Korea, and Kim Jong-nam's body was released to North Korean representatives. The international fallout was severe. The use of VX nerve agent violated the Chemical Weapons Convention, and countries across the world condemned the attack. The United States placed new sanctions on North Korea, and the United Nations took notice. The killing raised alarming questions. If the regime was willing to use chemical weapons in a public international airport, what else might it do? Chapter 6. The Trial and the Aftermath. Siti Aisyah and Daun Thi Wong were both charged with murder and faced the death penalty under Malaysian law. Their trials began in October 2017 and became a global media spectacle. As more details emerged, public opinion began to shift. It became increasingly clear that the women were likely scapegoats' tools in a larger geopolitical assassination plot. Their defense teams argued that they were manipulated, had no motive, and lacked the technical knowledge to understand they were handling a chemical weapon. During the trial, prosecutors introduced evidence of text messages from the handlers instructing the women when and how to perform the attack. Footage showed them rehearsing on other individuals in the days prior. These facts supported the women's claims of being misled into thinking the attack was a prank. Eventually, under pressure from the governments of Indonesia and Vietnam, and following lengthy negotiations, both women were released. Siti Aisyah was freed in March 2019, and Daun Thi Wong was released in May after accepting a reduced charge of causing harm. None of the North Korean operatives involved were ever prosecuted. They escaped within hours of the assassination, aided by diplomatic immunity or covert escape routes. Despite international outrage, North Korea faced no direct punishment, reinforcing a chilling precedent. The regime could kill with impunity, using foreign nationals as pawns, and suffer minimal consequences. Chapter 7. Legacy of a state-sanctioned murder. The assassination of Kim Jong-nam marked a dark chapter in modern political history. It was the first confirmed use of a banned chemical weapon in an international airport by a sovereign state in peacetime. It demonstrated North Korea's utter disregard for international law and the lengths to which Kim Jong-un would go to eliminate even the faintest threat to his rule. Kim Jong-nam was not a revolutionary. He had no political party, no supporters inside the country, no army to back him. His power lay in his lineage, and perhaps more dangerously, in his potential as a Chinese-backed alternative should the Kim regime falter. Eliminating him was not just about family rivalry. It was about removing any alternative narrative to the Kim dynasty's control. Today, Kim Jong-nam is barely mentioned in North Korea. His death is erased from the official narrative, and his memory survives mostly in foreign headlines and intelligence files. Yet his murder remains a stark reminder of the brutality of authoritarian regimes. It also underscored a sobering reality. In the world of power politics, even a man who wanted nothing to do with the throne can be considered too dangerous to live. That's all for tonight's story. Another thread in the web of true crime, quietly unraveling as the night goes on. If you're still with me, thanks for listening. And if sleep has already taken you, may your dreams be peaceful and your mind at ease. I'll be here next time by the fire with another story waiting to be told. Good night, and don't forget to lock your doors.